Alright, good afternoon from Prestige Motorsports. Standing in the dyno room here, and this video I just want to kind of cover what happens when customers send parts. Not dogging this customer, don't take me wrong here. It's just what should be the expectations for the customer when you provide parts to us, and expectation on power, So it could be everything from delivery time to parts fitment, the quality or how good the parts condition is, and then the overall, everybody, we're on the pump here for a reason. We want to know how much power it makes. Obviously we want to make as much as we can. So to kind of give you a bit of a roundabout on what this is, it's one of our 427 dart-based packages, AFR CNC 220 head, good size solid roller camshaft in it, and this one we put compression in it. We did high compression because the guy's going to run alcohol. So a little bit of background on this. The customer had some cylinder heads he sent us, the manifold with the Ron's toilet bowl on it, and the injection lines obviously all plumbed in. And then the front motor plate, vacuum pump, the fuel system pump. He provided a lot of stuff. So initially we look at those parts and come into a determination, fitment, and the quality. Well, the cylinder heads, the motor had been blowed up. Not that you can't repair the head, but how bad they were. By the time you were finished repairing them, might as well start with a fresh set of heads. There was nothing special about them, so we did that. Customers kind of a little bit, get a little pushback. Are you sure you can't repair them? Labor's not cheap, so it was definitely easier to put a fresh set of heads on it. So build the motor, and as we get closer, we go to the dyno. What we did on this was we put a carburetor on it to break it in. We use a known good carburetor, get us a baseline, and this motor, conservative tune-up, like 650 or 665 horsepower. Pretty decent package. Bolt his stuff on here, and instantly fuel lines are leaking, we got issues. This is alcohol running through this stuff, so it doesn't last forever. Things get damaged in shipping, and it's alcohol. It eats lines to pieces. There's some O-rings up in the barrel valve and stuff that were hard as a rock, that were leaking. So, once again, call the customer. We're on the dyno, now we got to take it off because we're waiting on parts. So it's downtime for us, and it's a pain in the butt, no doubt, and it's just as much a pain in the butt for the customer. So, when we call you and we're giving you the feedback, here's the things that are wrong with it. Customer says, basically it was running fine before the engine blew up, or everything was fine when I sent it to you. Well, it sat around, this stuff hardens up, like I said, it gets brittle, so that's the part of the expectation. If we let you know there's an issue with it, there's probably an issue with it. We'll give you a solution, how to rectify it, give you an idea of cost, give you an idea how much longer is it going to take, because we've taken it off the dyno. Now we got to fit it back in line to get it back on the dyno. So there's a little bit of background stuff on all that. So you see we got a ton of stuff hooked to this motor. We're monitoring pan vac back here on the valve cover, because up front we've got a aerospace components vac pump. So monitor vacuum in the crankcase. We're monitoring fuel pressure from the mechanical injection system, and also how much pump pressure are we making. And then we've got our O2 meter over here. And this is really, we're using this secondary to what the dyno displays. We're looking at it in two different ways, AFRs and lambda, so that way we can see how close we are on the tune-up. Also get into the fact, how long does it take on the dyno? Why is the dyno time more money or more hours? Well, kind of fiddling with all this stuff. And then we started with a baseline, Ron's toilet bowl, Ron's injection, whatever it's called. Basically give you a baseline of pills. And in the injector, what size is that, and then the return. Well, we started off, we're way lean, we're way off on the power. So we're monitoring all this stuff, and we're changing pills, and we're chasing a tune-up. So end of the day, motor's sweet, runs good. With this system on it, we're actually making just slightly less than it did with the carburetor and race fuel. So I would expect a customer asks the question, why is that? You know, we got this giant throttle blade, it's on alcohol now, it should make more power. Well, not necessarily. And what we noticed through the air turbine up top, we're measuring airflow through the carburetor. We went back in our data, how much CFM is the motor pulling versus what it is with this Ron's toilet bowl. And I can't remember exactly the number, but we're somewhere between 30 and 50 CFM less with the Ron's. So we're pulling less air through this unit, and it may not be the Ron's toilet bowl, it could be the manifold. The manifold has been worked on before. What they did, whoever did that work, wasn't exactly what you would do to enhance the runner or the port. So therefore that could be the reason we've lost air. Of course, I say that, but I'm basing that off of how much air we pulled through this motor with a carburetor versus what we're pulling through with the Ron's toilet bowl. Not to get it super detailed, but obviously it's pulling less air, it's going to therefore make less power. So the moral to it is when you provide us parts, number one, be patient. Number one, you understand why it may make more or it may make less power, why there might be additional hours on your final bill, and why we're suggesting maybe, you know, you might want to rebuild that back pump if we weren't pulling enough pan back. If we didn't make enough pressure out of this mechanical pump, we might need that rebuilt or upgrade to something else. These are all parts supplied to us. There's nothing that we can do about that. So it's not really a rant. It's just something, one, to debut the motor. It runs great. It's a good piece. It should kick ass at the racetrack. But at the same time, to enlighten you guys, if you're going to send us parts, these are things we can run into. So appreciate you watching, and have a wonderful weekend.